if you do not want to miss the best moments that come out of these raw, completely unplanned conversations that I have with these very interesting people, then make sure you subscribe to this channel, PGX Clips, and press the bell icon top so that you know the next time we post. Do you ever worry about how AI will sort of manhandle the arts in the future?
Yeah. Do you?
I feel like I'm in the business of personality and I'm still very insulated. I'm not in
Yeah.
the business of art. I'm in the business of personality.
Yeah.
And so there's an insulation here that people will relate to me, not necessarily my art. But yeah, man, I mean, you know what I'm really afraid of is we were in Vegas like a week ago. I don't remember. And
Did you see Sunny?
just to see Sunny. I am actually sleeping with Sunny. Now that you're talking about it, I have to admit. So we check into our hotel fucking 11 p.m. in the night. Dude, we're tired. I've driven from LA, gone to shoot, come back. We check into our hotel and the room is stinking. It's fucking, I don't know what it is. It stinks like ass, right?
Yeah.
So I have him call the reception. He calls and we have a very human voice talking to us in full conversational English where he could say something in his accent and she got it or whatever. It got it and she could respond back, got it. You mean this, right? And she had a 2.5-minute conversation until she said, I'm forwarding the request. And throughout this, we were both like, this is an AI. This is not a real person. We have a 2.5-minute conversation with a blue-collar worker who is now replaced by AI. So my fear is there's a whole layer of jobs in the short run disappear.
Yes.
And the artists and the coders were all thinking we'd be safe. We were not safe.
Yeah.
The leverage that AI produces, and I find, frankly, I speak to a lot of these guys, and I don't mean on the podcast, but a lot of these guys will try to brush under the short-term impact of this. In the long term, we'll be, man, everybody's worried. So I'm worried for that.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think overall it'll do, it'll add quality to art. Like movies will be done better because budget constraints will shrink and you can do shit with AI. I think artists have a lot to worry about because somebody can use your face and make a movie and you'd just be chasing them in court.
Yeah, so the budget constraints thing I think is bullshit because these studios are in the business of keeping as much money as they can, right?
Interesting.
We just had a writer and actors strike in the U.S.,
Right.
right? The Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild. I'm a member of both. One of the big striking provisions, we were forced into a strike by the studios. It was because of AI and AI provisions that they didn't want to agree to.
Right.
And what you're seeing is they'll always shrink your budget. And artists are so good at doing a lot with a little, right?
Right.
But they'll continue to give themselves raises, you know,
So
tens
they'll
of millions,
basically
hundreds
make
of millions.
all the margins in the middle.
Yes.
The
They'll
studios.
take it.
Uh-huh.
So the stock price goes up. The executives keep making more and more and more money, but they claim poverty. They'll show you on a data sheet why they're claiming poverty and tell you this is why your salary is going down. This is why your budget dropped from this to this. So I think, yeah, they're going to save a lot through AI, but you're not necessarily going to do more with it. Like it's not going to benefit the consumer, I think.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. The other thing is, thankfully, like right now, AI can't create comedy. It's so subjective that it just, I mean, even if you just use ChatGPT, like, hey, I'm writing a speech, give me like 3 great jokes. The jokes are going to be pretty shitty, right? Like, which I'm happy about.
Right.
But there will obviously come a day where the inputs are enough that it's going to figure out how to kind of make
Replicate a
people
joke.
laugh.
Yeah.
So I think the question is, of course, selfishly as an actor, as an artist, that worries me. But you brought up the very real example of like these blue collar workers who are getting the boot. So at what point are we trying to look at what the idea of humanity is? What do we want? What do we want people to have? What do we want our society to look like? Like, does it matter to you that what you're watching is entirely generated by an AI?
The
that
consumer
you might
doesn't
be
care.
talking to? Right. So do you care? Do you not care? Then the question of this is a country that can barely deal with having a little bit of health insurance or a little bit of health care. I'm talking about the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, right.
In order to really deal with what happens with massive job loss and concentration of wealth with these very few corporations, are we going to have something called universal basic income, where people who lose their jobs because of AI have some basic income provided by the government? My guess is if we can barely get healthcare off the table, how are we as a society going to agree to something like that? So these are all checks and balances that we need. A couple of years ago, I did a show for Amazon called This Giant Beast That Is the Global Economy. Terrible title. But it's like an 8-part docuseries. One of the segments was on AI. And I interviewed both CEOs of AI companies and engineers in AI. And I asked them both, like, are you worried about AI? And the engineers were like, well, no, my job is not to worry about the morality or the ethics of it. It's to just do the coding and to set the systems up. I'm like, okay, I get that. That's maybe a little bit similar to like I don't personally worry about the graphic nature of some of the jokes that I tell in movies because I know there's a rating system on the streaming platform that says you shouldn't watch that if you're under a certain age. So, okay, maybe I liken it to that. Then you talk to the CEO and they go, well, it's the government's job to regulate AI. I'm like, so it's neither of you that feel any moral responsibility. And not only that, but the CEO is telling me this with a straight face. And I know that you just spent $15 million trying to lobby the U.S. government to avoid checks and balances and regulations on AI. So these are at some point, I hope soon we'll be serious about these conversations because if it continues to move on without that, I think we're kind of all screwed without those basic checks and balances. And good business thrives when you have fair regulations and checks and balances, right?
Yep.
So I'm really worried about it if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm not trying to negate incredible potential advancements in heart health and science and exploration, all of that.
Right.
But if you're talking about efficiency and cost savings, I think you need to look at what cost, right? At what cost does that mean? This is different than different decision points in history where we discovered this source of energy or, everything's going to computers. Fair point, maybe fair comparison, but this is a different moment.
Yeah, no, this is a different
means,
angle
right?
also. The leverage is just 10x higher than computers at this point.
Yeah.
And
I got to wrap up at 4.
Yeah, that's fine. We're close to wrapping up. This is why I feel like it's just immigrants are going to be the sacrificial lamb in this discourse.
Yeah.
Because you're going to still lose jobs, and it's not because the immigrants want you to lose jobs. It's because the machines are here to compete, and it's going to be always cheaper. It's historically always. And you're going to blame the immigrants. So I think the immigration conversation will absorb a lot of the inflation around the job conversation. That's going to transfer energy. And man, I don't think anybody has an answer. And I'm worried. This is not even the least of my worries. I am also very excited when you see robotics and when you see all this shit. Man, there's some future we cannot imagine. You were doing Harold and Kumar in the 2000s. You couldn't imagine 2025 would look all this screened out.
Totally.
So what do you think 2045 looks like? It's crazy.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, first of all, your immigration point I think is correct, but immigration, at least in this country, is a scapegoat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? Exactly.
What people are doing is saying, here are the concentrations of people with money and power, and to avoid you looking at them saying, where's our fair share because we made you all this money, they're saying, look at these immigrants who are responsible for the price of your eggs being too high. That immigrant is not responsible for that. Yeah. That's not the reason. That guy is the reason, right? And so until we sort of wake up to that notion, I'm really worried about what this xenophobia, what this anti-immigrant sentiment looks like, especially at the end result of that, because the end result of that is not going to bode well for anybody, because the service and the opportunity and the integration of how immigrants are thriving, especially in New York City and our communities, we don't separate somebody's immigration status with whether they're a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And so that when you come here, when you see a vibrant city, but so it's just scapegoating and it's dangerous. What does 2045 look like?
Who knows?
Who knows, man?
Yeah, man.
Who knows? They're both for the scary parts of it and the
fun parts of it.
The hopeful fun parts of it. Yeah.
I have one last question.
Yeah.
What are you wrestling with now? Where do you find meaning in now? Where are you headed towards? Just tell me.
I'll tell you, this is probably going to sound super hokey, but I really mean it, is one of the things I have always loved about comedy, and especially love at this moment, is the potential it has to bring people together. Everything is so divided, and I've just been dipping my toe into stand-up because of people like Manan Zakir encouraging me, Alok Menon encouraging me, inviting me to open for them at their show, my buddy Daniel Sloss, who invited me to open for him during his run in New York next month. I'm toying with that format because it brings me so much joy when I watch comedians who I love, and I feel like, maybe this is the right format for me right now. Going to continue writing, pitching a few shows that are scripted. I think we're doing a 4th Harold and Kumar, we hope. They haven't greenlit it yet, but they made a deal with the writers to hopefully write a script. So there are a bunch of things over the next year and a half that I'm really excited about that are pretty positive.
If you are interested in my conversation with India's best, then you can listen to us exclusively on Spotify also. There's a link in the description. Press it. Listen to us as you walk, as you're in the train, as you're driving, as you're working out, as you're flirting. You'll still like it.